Welcome to Between Two Chairs, Demystifying Commercial Real Estate, the podcast that brings you the latest insights and trends on the South Florida commercial real estate market, with your hosts, Fernando Arencibia Jr. and Jennifer Wollmann. In each episode, we dive into the world of commercial real estate and break down complex concepts to make them accessible for everyone. Whether you're a real estate professional, a curious investor, or just interested in the South Florida market in general, Between Two Chairs is the podcast for you. So pull up a chair and join us.
Ooh, now we're getting serious. Recording in progress.
This just got real.
real.
This just got real. So, what are we doing here?
We're starting our first podcast.
We are.
We're letting people know what we're doing and why we're doing it.
This is like one of those where you'll look back one day and you'll be like, look, we only had one mic. We were recording on Zoom.
We actually have 3 mics.
How are we going to negotiate together when you're just going to, say, correct me when we're in the middle of negotiations? Is that how this is going to work?
We are going to look back on this and go, oh my God. Okay. So serious now.
We really don't even know if the sound is going to work very well, but we're going to give it a shot.
Of course.
And that's how all these things, exactly. I think that should be the title of our real estate career.
Don't know until you try.
We don't know until you don't know until you try,
It's a very good motto.
So
Gotta start
I envision you one day writing an inspirational book, and I think that should be the title, and I'll write the foreword.
I already forgot the title, so we better keep those.
Then we're really hoping that the audio is picking up.
For sure.
There are millions of podcasts out there. Seems like everybody, has decided to get, it's like a little bit of back to the future. Everybody has decided to go back to radio.
Yes.
But instead of radios are podcasts, and they're all around. So why are we creating this podcast? This is a podcast on commercial real estate, but it's really a podcast about business. It's a podcast about our communities. It's a podcast about relationships. It's a podcast that, kind of just like commercial real estate, really goes into every aspect of life. What are your thoughts on
It's a little bit of everything. It's like we're in Miami, so it's a little arroz con mango. A little bit of everything, but yeah, with a focus on commercial real estate, because it's what both of us do, what both of us love, and kind of sharing our experience, our knowledge, our funny stories. And yeah, it's all about relationships. And even though this is a podcast, you do create relationships. There are a lot of podcasts that I listen to where I swear I know the people, and all of a sudden I meet them. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have never met you before, but I feel like I know them because of their podcasts. So, and you do get a lot of information. So hopefully with each episode, somebody will take at least one little piece of knowledge of something new, or an insight, or a motivation, or something, so that we give people a little bit of value other than entertainment factor or not.
I think that is, what is amazing about commercial real estate is I once heard somebody talk about, why go and become a lawyer, for example. Well, they say the law touches every segment of society,
True.
From, finance, litigation, and, it's just so, encompassing. And I feel like commercial real estate, and really real estate in general, is like that.
Correct. I would say real estate in general, right? Because you live in real estate, you shop in real estate, you work in real estate, everything that you do has a physical space. Even outdoor areas a lot of times are real estate, right? Yeah. And beneath it all is the land, as they say in the real estate realtor world, and it's true.
I was going to start another podcast with that line of beneath it all is a line. This happens to me all the time with you. Like, I think of something, and then
I thought of it first.
Yeah. Well, just because you said it first, well, without a doubt, you said it first, so you get all the credit. You get all the credit. It's
we share credit. We're partners.
We do. We share credits. I know. Unbelievable. The door. Listen, you ready Are you sure?
And we signed the paperwork,
still...
so it's done deal. Done deal.
So do you want to talk a little bit about what we're envisioning, what we want to build, or maybe...
Sure.
Yeah.
Why not? That's kind of this is kind of our second beginning, right? It's like a new beginning. It's the start. So we're a better place to start a new podcast than where we're restarting our careers or taking it to the next level, taking it in a newer direction. Yeah.
How long have you been in real estate?
Gosh, over 20 years. I have to look at my license because everything seems like it was just yesterday. And then I look back and I'm like, oh my gosh, it was a really long time ago. But yeah.
Do you feel like you've been in real estate for that long?
No.
Yeah.
No, I feel like it's been a blink of an eye.
I feel the same way.
Yeah. And you're always
learning. So you came from another career.
Correct.
I came from another career.
Correct.
And it just feels like it's still new.
Yeah.
But when I look at my licenses, I've had a license for over 20 years.
A really long time. I know. And I think that's the thing about real estate, right? Which I don't know if with every career, but with real estate, no two transactions are alike, no two deals are like, nothing is ever the same. You're always learning stuff. You know, we do letters of intent all the time and no LOI is the same, right? Nothing that we do is the same. So so therefore we're always learning.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why it seems like we just got in, even though we're veterans by all.
It's interesting because you hear a lot of commercial people talk about the idea that residential real estate is more cookie cutter and that there's more similarities from transaction to transaction. But the reality is that there are always intricacies that differentiate one deal from another.
Right.
Because there's still always the human element that is there. Is the relationship, is the communication between the buyer and the seller, and how the broker navigates that makes it very important and very unique to that experience. And the reality is that we touch a certain number of transactions every year. And but to the people that we serve, that is their one most important deal at the moment.
Right, at the moment, yeah. And that's one of the things that I love, because I feel with real estate and being a part of the transaction, you're involved in one of the biggest decisions that person or that company is making, especially financially, right? So whether it's a restaurant who's opening up first time or a mom and pop flower shop or whatever it is, for that person, it is the most important thing at that time, and you get to be a part of that. So talk about building relationships. And I think you and I are both people person. And I can tell you that a lot of my best friends are people that I've done real estate deals with. And that kind of sounds a little bit sad. Like I didn't have friends before I started real estate. But
I disagree with you there. I don't think it's sad at all. I think it's perfectly natural, because you come to meet them at a moment in their life when they need you the most. Mm-hmm. And if you're able to deliver, you deepen a relationship, because what happens in a real estate transactions often is for a very short period of time, hopefully, sometimes a very long period of time, but for a short period of time, you develop a very intense relationship with the people that you're serving. Mm-hmm. And that just deepens that bond. And, when you meet them again, sometime down in the future, you keep in touch, that bond is solidified. It's there forever. And you could always go back and have those conversations. I think there's a real beautiful moment. Number one, the fact that you have earned someone's trust for something that is so important to them, mm-hmm. right? Like their business, their livelihood, the people that they're taking care of. But when they come back again and they want you to help them on another venture, on another deal, another transaction, that second deal I always find it's so amazing, because there's no more getting to know each other. Right. You're hitting the ground.
You're not dating anymore.
You're not dating anymore, right?
Yeah.
We know enough about each other where, we know that we're going to deliver for each other. And now it's a beautiful thing, which is why it's amazing. And I think both of us have the same mentality, which is, we like to work by referral, and we love that deepening community that you develop among your clients,
Yes.
And one of the things that I have found really rewarding for me is that now, I used to think of the client as an individual, So if you're dealing with the CEO of a company, that's the person that you're dealing with all the time. and you're helping them, execute on their real estate goal, which is really not the end role, right? The end goal is that is going to help their business grow, or it's going to help their business develop, but now you start to look at, when you have a client that has, 100, 200, 300 employees, now you start to see it more of, hey man, I'm a piece in that ecosystem that is helping provide jobs for, 300 people. And there is something really rewarding about, being a part of that process, one way or the other.
So as usual, we got off on a tangent. So I apologize to our audience, because we were going to describe why, what we're doing and why we're here. But you can tell we love what we do and the people we meet. So we digressed a little bit, but let's get back on.
Yeah, just for the record, she's apologizing. I'm not apologizing. I thought we were doing great. I thought we were,
but
getting to know each other.
We left them hanging.
But we could always circle back. We could always circle back.
So we're circling back.
Yeah, let's circle back. So let me ask you this, because this really has a lot to do with why we're here today. And part of it is, our experience navigating commercial real estate, and as a profession, and also in the investment side of things, and how we guide people, and how we, so I know this is going to seem like we're getting off a tangent, but let me ask you this. How did you what was your first commercial deal? How did you get into commercial?
So when I first got my license, I knew that I wanted to do commercial. I don't know why. So my background is in environmental management. I used to work in the hazardous waste industry and then the solid waste industry. So I dealt with the land, I dealt with office, I dealt with big facilities. So that's just what I liked. I always just gravitated towards that. So when I got my license, and I went out and spent a lot of money and took all the CCIM courses without reading the fine print, and didn't realize that I had to have a huge portfolio, and I had never done a deal. So at the time I was working for a great local broker, and he knew that I was interested in doing commercials. So all the commercial deals that came my way, I worked his way. He kind of sent to me, and they were small. It was a small firm. So I was dealing with actually the people that to this day I love dealing with, which are the hands-on type owners or operators of a company. And I was dealing with two medical doctors who were looking for a facility, a kind of a medical lab facility, because they were making Band-Aids for eyes for when you had eye surgery. So that opened up a whole learning curve, because I had to know about, negative pressure and vent hoods and all that kind of stuff. So that was a lot of fun. And to your point, it was super, super intense. But we found them a space, and they did really well, and eventually they got bought out and left. So but that was my first commercial deal, and it was fun, and then I was hooked, right? Then I was totally hooked.
Well, that's incredible. Part of what I hear you say is, so your expertise, everything you learn, what you learn in life, it never goes to waste.
Right.
So your expertise, doing all the research, all of your environmental work, I'm sure was very applicable to,
totally,
because what you had to figure out is, I have to learn something new, but I have to learn it really fast in order to be able to deliver.
Yeah.
So I think that's wonderful. I wish my story was as purposeful as yours. But like many realtors, I took the gateway drug of residential real estate that got me into commercial real estate. And it was very, very early in my career. I was also coming from 10 years of being a teacher. And what I learned is that, I love, first and foremost, serving people. That was incredibly rewarding. And there was a lot to learn. But I would do a lot of networking. I wanted to see what was going on. My mindset was very much like this. I went to school to become a teacher, right? So I got a bachelor's degree, I got a master's degree, I was teaching. So I was trying to figure out, well, I haven't really had any formal lessons, any formal training. So I was looking for ways to get in there. And so Florida International University has a group called the Real Estate Alumni Affinity Council, and it's for basically alumni of FIU School of Business that got together and they were all in the real estate industry. So I went to one of the meetings, and I met a gentleman that was in commercial real estate, specifically more in multifamily. And multifamily is really the gateway into commercial because there is something familiar about it, because it's still residential and in its service, right? But there is the commercial component that the investor looks at it from a different angle. And so he had reached out to me about, I invited him out to lunch and I said, listen, I want to take you out to lunch and I would love for you to give me some guidance, let me know. And then it just so happens that he was working with an investor that was looking for multifamily property in Little Havana. And so we sat down and came up with, he says, I just want to talk to owners and see if they're interested in buying. This was right after the downturn. So it was, I think 08 or 09. And then I created, went back and just like teaching, teaches you, right? I need a lesson plan. So now I have to have a plan to execute. We came up with a plan. We had a strategy and we were able to, get them into the first 6-unit, apartment building. And then that's how it started and it grew from there. But I was totally hooked with the experience. It was unique. I, had to be quick on my feet. I was learning all the time. And that's something that is very, very, very powerful here,
And you really got to do a deep dive in Little Havana, and look at Little Havana now. I mean, booming, so popular. I remember taking one of my investors down there, and she used to invest in Coral Gables multifamily, and I took her down. I said, I think you need to buy here. I think you need to buy here in Little Havana. And I took her down, and when she saw the chickens and the roosters running across the road, she's like, no, I'm good in the Gables. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so much curious.
I know.
This is awesome. I bet she's thinking of me now.
I'm sure she is. She really should. She really should. Anyway. My clients acquired over the course of a 3.5-year period 15 buildings.
Yeah, wow.
And they have done, extremely well.
Yeah.
But they were willing to invest where a lot of people were not willing to invest.
Right.
And they really took great care of those buildings, which in essence took great care of the tenants. They were able to increase rents and do really, really well. So yeah, that experience was terrific. And so, I think that the reason why I asked those questions, those background questions, was really to, I think they're important in how they have informed our decision to create this new firm together so that we can help other people that want to get into commercial, help those that are currently in commercial to focus on the things that matter to them, the things that are really going to make a big difference in their life and in their lives of their clients. And, aside from the fact that if people haven't figured it out by just listening to that, I love hanging out with you.
We do have fun together.
We do. Absolutely. And so, I don't know how specific we want to get as to this venture, but all that I want to convey is that we're very excited about something that we're building together. Correct. We're very excited for the number of people that can come along to be our teammates in this endeavor and to help them develop and grow their business, develop and grow their acumen as investors, and give them an ability for them to become investors themselves and to really take advantage of all of the great benefits that are ahead in commercial real estate for them personally and for the clients that they serve,
Yeah, I'm excited because I think one of the things that we found so frustrating was the lack of transparency in commercial real estate. And I just still feel like when I talk to people, when I talk to my clients or when I talk to other real estate professionals who want to get into commercial real estate, they're like, well, where's the MLS? How come there's nothing on the MLS? Or where's Zillow? Or how, where's this or where's that? And they name a list of places where they're used to going to find information for residential properties. And that information is sorely lacking for commercial and investment properties. It seems to be like everybody's little secret, people keep commercial deals secret. And I think that that's a disservice, not only to the consumer looking to either purchase, sell, or lease commercial property, but it's also a huge disservice to the seller or the landlord who's trying to lease or sell a building. Just because the world's changed. I mean, especially with COVID, but the world had already started changing where everybody expects to be able to find information about anything they want with the click of a couple of buttons or by asking Siri or Google or whatever. And that hasn't been the case in commercial real estate. So I'm excited with what we're trying to create there to help bring transparency to real estate, how to find it, how to invest in it, how to buy it, lease it, transform it, etc.
No doubt.
So that's
and I think to your point, this idea of where is the value, right? Where is the value to the client? Where is the value to the agent? And part of this is that it's not in the data, but it's in the perspective that you can bring to the data. And really, to be a great commercial practitioner, you have to be adept at research. You have to know what's happening in your community, what's happening in your surrounding. What is it that you're seeing from a macro and a micro perspective that is going to influence the decisions of your clients and what's going to be important there. And I'm looking forward to creating this platform in which we remove a lot of the stuff that are not, that they should not focus on, and be able to focus on things that are going to truly impact their business, because they're going to truly improve the service that they provide to their clients. I think that there's no greater value than an agent who is a student, than an agent that reviews, that researches, that analyzes, and that is able to provide perspectives and really grasp, because it's so expansive, so many asset classes, so many different kinds of businesses, that I think that is an important component. So this is it. Look, one day we're going to have great lighting. One day we're going to have great audio. All right. But this will be this is our first endeavor. But I did want to finish with a question that I think will be interesting, because we go to a lot of conferences, we attend a lot of things in and out of the real estate world. And so is there a stat or some sort of interesting thing that you learned this week?
I learned something interesting, but then when I was thinking about the number, I couldn't remember if it was weekly, monthly, or yearly. So I can't use that stat because I don't want to misinform. But one of the things that I did come across that I thought it was interesting enough to post on, and it's showing how long it has taken, but how far we have come in terms of coming out of the COVID lockdown, even in Florida, where a lot of people say, COVID didn't really exist because we didn't have the lockdowns that other places did, was the extent that gyms and music venues and theaters have bounced back in terms of foot traffic and in terms of store openings. We have a ton of gyms in Miami already, and I just saw something came across my desk yesterday that there's another gym with a new concept opening up in Coconut Grove. So I think that's really interesting. And then today we had lunch with somebody who said, I think gyms are going to be like the big thing this year. And I was like, you're a little late for that party, but you're
Absolutely.
right. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
So that's my take. What about you? What's the stat? And you're good at remembering and quoting.
I don't remember exactly the time frame, but it was the presentation that we saw at the CCM luncheon from visitflorida.org, which talked about 34 million visitors to the state of Florida. I don't remember exactly the timeline, but what was really interesting is that out of those 34 million visitors, only 3 million were out of the country, which it has not always been the case. So first of all, the 34 million is a record number.
Right.
Secondly, we still have much more to grow. We still got more visitors because the international visitors have not yet come back to that level, and they are making their way. And I think that data was for 2022. I'm sure 2023 looks much more different.
That's interesting, because I did come across another little blurb that said that the international wealth still to this day views real estate in Miami as a bargain, which I thought, as somebody who's lived here for 30 something years, really, you think it's a bargain? Yeah. But for a lot of people outside of our country, they definitely see it as a bargain and as a source of stability. So yay, it's great to be Miami.
So you see, guys, this is how it goes. I ask her for one stat. Then I got my shot at giving my stat, but it wasn't good enough. So she had to give another stat. So now she's got 2-1. That's how.
Okay, go, and I'll be quiet. So I'm going to sign off and say goodbye, and I'll let Fernando have the last one.
No, not at all.
Quick,
Bye.
another stat.
No stat. We're good to go. I'll let you have this one.